Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Lucky Life podcast, where we create our own luck and design the life of our dreams. I'm your host, Melissa Mark. Let's dive right into the episode. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different from the episodes we've done so far. We officially have our first guest. I'm going to be talking with my friend Steven today, and the topic of discussion is finances, but specifically finances surrounding being self-employed. And just a little preface, this is in no way a financial advice podcast. In fact, it's probably the opposite. I really just wanted to chat about more so the struggle of trying to navigate finances, being self-employed as an influencer, someone in the content creation world. I feel like it's the side that's not talked about as often, so I kind of wanted to get behind the curtain a little bit and just speak candidly. So that's kind of the direction we're going to be heading in today's discussion. The main reason I'm filming this extra intro, though, this was my first time doing a dual audio recording, and I fully trial run a new way of recording and editing, which it actually did turn out pretty good, except I think my microphone was like half falling out of the USB port when I was recording for like the first half of this podcast. You may notice that my audio is a little bit muffled and quieter. Steven's mic was pretty good for the whole recording. But about halfway through, we did take a break, and then when we came back, my microphone was fine. So I'm not totally sure what happened there, but I just wanted to let you know that the audio is not the best in the beginning, and then it kind of switches up around the 20-minute mark. So there might be a difference in the audio volume. I'm not really sure. Hopefully it's not too distracting. I am still learning and figuring out how all of this podcasting stuff works. But anyways, that's all that I wanted to say for this intro. So now we can jump into today's episode. Today is a very special day because we have our first guest on the show, Steven Covic.
I'm excited.
Welcome.
And I'm nervous.
Well, it's like we've already done a podcast together.
We have, and we talk all the time on the phone, so it feels like this is FaceTime, but in real life.
Exactly. So if you guys don't know Steven, he's one of my good friends, and if you follow me on my socials, you've probably seen him because he's been on my Instagram and my YouTube, and he has his own social media as well. He's in like the content creation space, and he also has his own podcast with one of our friends, Lindsay.
Yes.
So I did an episode with them, if you guys want to check that out. So I thought Steven was a good person to come on because we're both self-employed and in the content creation space. But when we met, which was like 8 years ago, I think.
It feels crazy that
it's been 9 years ago?
I think it was like 2016 or 2015.
What is that, 8 years?
Yeah, I feel like we should talk about our story because I think it's like funny how we actually met. But anyways, that's...
Yeah, no, let's start there because like when I met you, had you started on social media?
No, I wanted to. Like I thought it was cool. But I really didn't know anything about it. But I was interning at that like production company, which is funny enough. I just shared something about that the other day. Yeah, you like, I guess you joined with like Much Digital Studios at the time.
Yeah. So basically me and Steven met in Toronto at the MMVA's, Much Music. Yeah. But I was there as like, honestly, to this day, I don't even know what my role was exactly. I was kind of like an internet VJ with Much Music. And then what were you doing there?
Because I was on the red carpet doing some stuff with, I don't even know, just intern stuff, like helping with cards or doing stand-in stuff. Like, I have no idea. And then
were you interning for Much Music?
It was part of Bell Media, so it was E! News, I think.
Oh,
at the time. But when you're in the building, when you're an intern, like for one of the networks, you're kind of like an intern for the building. So if they need more interns, they'll be like, oh, we grab all the interns from the departments to help with things. So you kind of like bounce around. But yeah, I remember I had met you there, but then I had loosely known Dan Roto, who's another mutual friend of ours. And we haven't really talked in that long, but we would love to like catch up. I knew him vaguely because I auditioned for like to be like the backstage correspondent because like Subway had some like contest, but he won it. But then we had known each other. I don't even know how. And then like when he won, I was like, hey, like congrats, like that's cool that you're doing this or something like that. And then I knew him, and then he was a part of that. Then he met you. Then I just kind of joined, and then I knew a girl from university that was also part of that. So I was like, whoa, what a small world! Like,
was that Allegra?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like we were like they knew each other in university, weren't like necessarily like super close, but then it was like, oh, I know her, but then I met you, and then that's how it kind of started.
So funny because like I vaguely remember that, but I can't remember like the actual like first moment or anything.
But it's funny because if you go back far enough, or when I first met you and stuff, I think you vlogged that.
Yeah, no, I did.
And like it's me in there. It's like we weren't even like close yet. It was just like And I think I was still in the closet, so I had my straight voice on. Because I think we looked at it once and I was like, yo, what's up? Like, I was like, ooh,
Yeah,
so
oh man, I
cringe.
should like edit in that footage, but
Uh,
good times. Okay, so you did that, and then after, did you do anything in between? Because recently you were doing like real estate stuff.
like my first like job, I think after that was doing, it was a startup that was doing like basically like Amazon storefronts, but before Amazon was doing that. And my job was like basically sales, like so finding creators who had like affiliate link type of like contents, like, beauty, fashion. And then this store or this company would like help them build a storefront. So that was my first inside like scoop and like, whoa, people are making money doing this. Like, but I don't even think it was brand deals. It was just affiliate links. And like, that was kind of my job. And then I got more curious and I moved to Vancouver for something else. And I jumped into like that MCN role that I did for a
Oh,
bit.
right. I always forget about that.
Yeah. And so I've always kind of like was around the industry and then did it a little bit. And then I would say in the last, like, I don't know, 4 years, I probably took it more seriously and actually saw traction and was like making money off of it, that I was like, oh, I could sustain myself. And then eventually the real estate thing that you're talking about, I stopped eventually. Cause I was like, well, it wasn't aligned anymore. And at the same time, I was like, well, I am making money doing this. Like I might as well just like, jump in head first and see how this goes.
Yeah, because when you're doing the real estate, I guess you were basically doing social media, but for their like not your personal page. Because you do like YouTube videos for them too?
Yeah, I would host some of their YouTube videos and stuff, but I still did all my own work. Like I still always made money online for the last like 3 years, 4 years even maybe. But I don't know. I just kind of stuck with it. Now it's been like a year and a half, 2 years with not having like a full-time job. And I sometimes enter like, I'm like, how have I survived? But then you just kind of like, it just flows. I don't know. It's kind of nice.
Like at what point did you feel like you were comfortable making the switch from like having this stable income to just like freelancing yourself
I
basically?
don't think it was like an actual thought. This is, and I love that your podcast is called Lucky Life because I always feel like I'm just lucky. I don't know. I don't actually have a step by step. So when someone's like, "How'd you do it?" I'm like, I don't know. It just felt natural. The universe kind of pushed me in the right direction. It didn't work with the job. Then I said, I'll take a break. I'll just focus on this because I had some contracts coming in, and it was very like probably pretty scary for a lot of people just to go, I'll see what happens. Like that's for a lot of people who have like anxiety around like work and stuff would be like, that's scary. Like I can't do that. So I just kind of trusted my gut the whole time. And I was like, it feels good. And then money would come in. I was like, oh, that's fun. And then I had more free time. And then, more contracts came. And then I just felt like the flow of that energy kept going. So I didn't have like an actual moment.
I always say like Steven's probably my most delusional friend, but like in a good way. Because like whenever we
Yes.
talk, it's like, oh, we're manifesting. Like we
Always.
always talk about like our fame and fortune,
Tarot cards.
tarot readings. Oh my goodness.
I always say that about you too. I don't know. I always feel like we're the most like, because I'll send you tarot readings all the time and you'll
Yeah.
watch them and you'll send me them. And then I'm like, but you get it. Like everyone else, I think like is like, oh yeah, like get it, manifest. And then my other friends, I think they're probably like, yeah, like that's not going to happen. And I'm like, no, it's going to happen. And then you also are like, yeah.
Yeah. Like our entire TikTok messages back and forth is just like tarot reading.
Yeah, it's a lot of
And
tarot
it's all
readings.
like, there's gonna be eyes on you, abundance, fame. Like you're gonna be a celebrity.
I still feel that. You know what I thought of the other day when or actually this morning when I was on my walk before this podcast? I've been doing vision boards since I was like 12 or 10 or 11. Partially because my mom once came home with The Secret. So I think I had like a really good head start. Like a lot of people started doing this stuff like in the last like 5-ish, maybe more years. And I've been doing it since I was 10. And which I think is honestly the best time to start this stuff because you only have your imagination. And it was before like we didn't have cell phones and stuff. So it was like I had vision boards all the time, but I wish I still had them. I remember them because I have a really good memory. But my vision board, like when I was 10, was I wanted like a fragrance line. I wanted a world tour. I can't sing. I wanted like I was obsessed with Disney, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna go on like talk shows and like go with my band if I had one, or like my new show. So I've always had this like in my head, some like delusional kind of like method of like, yeah, this is gonna happen. I mean, it's definitely changed on how it's happening, but it's just funny.
You were ahead of the times. Your mom got The Secret, like the book?
For the movie, for her like self to watch it. I think she just thought like, oh, you might want to watch this too. And I remember thinking like it was not really a movie for kids, but I mean, I remember one of the scenes, it's like this guy pretending that he's driving this like, Mercedes or nice car. And I would go to bed thinking of that stuff because it was just easy. I didn't have a phone to go to bed with as a distraction. I would just go to bed and go, thinking of my life or something like that.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I've read the book. I haven't seen the movie. But I think that's kind of what got me into it too, which was probably like, I remember I made a YouTube video on it actually when I was living with Jenny. So probably like 9 years ago maybe.
Yeah, that's a good chunk of time. A lot of people do it like without realizing they're doing it. But I feel like you and we always bonded over. I think like money is one thing, or like it just kind of always works out. Like money just comes in. And that to regular like people who are not on board with that think you're nuts, you're crazy, you're like toxic positive. But I'm like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how I got to this place, but I just go, yep, like it's always gonna happen. Like a check's gonna come in, something's gonna like make it, better.
No, but that's so true because like with what we do, it's like you don't like there's nothing secured. Things always just like will like randomly come up, and it's like I've always been fine, but it's all like it's fully out of my control on whether the campaigns come in or not. So it's like you kind of just like trust that they will.
And that's so risky. Like that like gives people a lot of nerves, but somehow it just works for me. And I think like I am okay with it for at least for now.
Do you ever do outreach, or is it usually the brands come to you?
Again, lucky life. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Like people ask me because sometimes there's periods where I'm really busy and like I am doing a lot of campaigns, and I'll get like other creators even be like, how are you getting so many? Like it's so hard out here. Like it's dry and I'm, really busy, and I'm not a massive creator. So it's not like I'm probably on the micro side, I guess you would call it. And I don't know. I've reached out to like a handful over the years, and sometimes they're successful. Sometimes it's a gifting. I reached out to one before the holidays, and they turned into a paid collab, and I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. But the rest truly come to me. Like it's so in that like receiving mindset. I don't know. And again, it sounds probably annoying to people that are like, oh, you just get them. Like, how does that work? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like they just come.
But going back, like you mentioned the micro influencer, because I think I technically am too, at least like on Instagram and TikTok. I think it's under like 100K or 90K followers, I think is technically a micro. But it's almost nice to be in that space, because I've heard people say that like once they got like, I don't know, when they like blew up and were no longer micros, like they didn't get as many brand deals, because I think some companies probably would rather like space out the campaign and get like multiple pieces of content from different creators versus putting like the entire budget into one person. So I think there's pros to it. Like obviously if you have a bigger following, like you can charge more, but I don't know, I think there's like a drawback to that too.
Yeah, I think you also have to have your rates somewhat competitive, but also, I don't know, like enough that you can live off of and stuff too. Like I'll still take campaigns that are not like super high paying, just out of the sheer like, well, it's still easy. Like I can do it. Like I don't mind once in a while. But like I know like larger creators that might charge like 5 or 6 or 10 grand, like for like a campaign, maybe even more. Some probably charge like 50, 100 grand. Like you always hear these stories. I talked to someone at like an agency, and they said that they were signing like, not signing, but doing this huge year-long contract for a family account, like a family TikTok account, $700,000 over the course of a year. But I'm like, that's a massive campaign. Yeah. And imagine like being the person on the account manager, whoever's like doing this is like, okay, I'll never see that money in my salary here.
I always think
it's so weird. Yeah.
So neither of us are with management, but when you have management, they're the ones that they'll like do the contracts, negotiate your rates and everything. And it's just like, I always think about them seeing the numbers that come through for their influencers. Like, I don't know how much talent managers make, but it's probably like a pretty standard
salary.
Yeah, like I think I Googled it once, and it's like maybe around like 60K, 70.
Yeah,
maybe.
And there might be an incentive if your talent books more, if the agency set up that way, that you might get a share of the profit. But
then, yeah, going back to what you're saying, it's like if they have big creators, they could be getting like 60, 70K for one
deal
project.
Yeah.
And so like that's probably like crazy to see.
Which is low-key the goal, because I would rather do like one campaign every 2 months that maybe paid something like in that area, where it's like, okay, then you can like, breathe and not have to pump out like 6 to get the same result. Because I think then you can be more selective and then be more creative with like the one, or if it's like long term, I think those are always better.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like stressed about the money aspect of being like self-employed?
Yes, like a lot of the time. Not the money so much, like how it comes in or how I make it, because I feel like it always kind of works right now. I'm in a flow with it. It's more like the managing of it. Like now that I've got a lot of these checks come in, like in January, now I have a chunk of money in my account, but I'm like, what do I do with it? Like, where do I put it? How do I put it away? What goes into taxes? How do I space out what I need just to live and slowly like make sure I'm set up each month? I've not mastered that. So I
Oh my gosh, like self-employed taxes is the most stressful thing, and like tax time is coming up now. And it's just like one of those things that like I try to not think about it and I like leave it to the last minute because like the first year that I was fully working for myself, like I had no idea how this worked. And then when it was like, "Okay, you owe this much." I was like,
because you didn't put it
"Holy
aside
no.
probably, and you don't. No one tells you that.
No."
I saw this funny meme today that my girlfriend showed me that was like, do you know what a parallelogram is? Like just like a shape. And you learn
A
it like it's like
parallelogram?
a shape in math or something like that. Anyways, again, it doesn't matter because no one actually needs it. But they teach you parallelograms like the surface area, perimeter. Like you just use it in math equations in like elementary and high school. Someone's like, wow, I'm so glad I learned what a parallelogram is because parallelogram season's coming up soon. And I was like, it's so true. It's like, this is so dumb. Like, we actually only want to learn what's going to like help us.
We should be taught taxes, budgeting, how to like invest your money. That's another thing I have like no idea about. Is
Yeah.
like investing.
Or just like math problems for kids, but like make them realistic for actual like about money or banking or saving. Because I feel like, again, other memes are like, I saw this thing that someone had like 300, like three, like 100 eggs in their fridge or something. Someone's like, oh, there's Timmy from that math problem. Because it was always like, Timmy has 300 eggs. And you're like,
Yeah.
what? That's not real. That's not a real circumstance.
It's just like so far out from like anything you would actually use.
Yeah.
When you get your taxes done, do you do it by yourself or do you get it like someone else to do it?
No, I have an accountant now, but I'm changing mine over now.
How much do you pay to get your taxes done?
Well, the place that I go here in Yaletown, like honestly, like they're like okay. It was like 400 when I first started, then it was like 600 or 700 the second year, and then last year was $900. And I was like, that's insane. And then I tell everyone else, like a friend or my mom, they're like, that's astronomical. Like you should not be paying that much. And my mom and other friends are self-employed, and I was like, okay. So I'm switching to like another guy in I think Toronto, but
That's so weird because like when I used to go to it was like it's more like prestigious firm. I think my cousin recommended them, but I would pay it was somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 to get my taxes done.
jeez.
And I was just like, this doesn't fully make sense. But I'm like, maybe this is just like how it is. And then I recently switched in the past few years, and now it's like $300.
That's good.
I'm like, that seems accurate.
Yeah, more reasonable.
$2,000 to get it, like, just have it done. That's like they're not helping with like bookkeeping or anything throughout the year.
No, if they did bookkeeping, oh my God, I probably should consider that too.
Yeah, and then another thing, like, you're supposed to pay installments. I never do.
Oh, I didn't know that.
See, this is why we need to be taught. So yeah, like throughout the tax year, I mean, if you're self-employed, but nothing is taken off your checks. So it's up to you to like put that aside. But throughout the year, you're supposed to pay like installments. They just like assume you're going to be making about the same as the year prior. So it's like based off of that. But then it's like, what if you make way less? I guess you would just get money back. I don't know. But anyways, I never pay it. And then I realized that at the, like when my taxes came around, I was paying like $2,000 in installment, like interest.
Oh my God. Okay, now you're freaking me out because I'm like, wait, I don't know. I don't think I paid installments. I think I remember calling once and I tried to do installments, but then like that sounds familiar from like 2 years ago. But then I was like, because my taxes the first year were like full transparency, like $14,000. I was like, I did not have that money set aside. Like I truly had like five. And I was like, wait, what? So it took forever to like pay it. But then I was just throwing money at my like on my bank account. You can like make it a payee like randomly. But I was like, wasn't like set installments. I feel like I'm always in arrears because I never like fully had the money the first time.
Yeah.
So now this time, like this year, I was like, okay, save like 30%, 30%, 30%. So that's why I want to get better at the budgeting part of it, at least for my day-to-day like lifestyle, like my money that I need.
Well, that's another thing because like some people say pay yourself first. And it's like, don't pay your taxes, like wait till the very end and then pay your taxes. And so I was like, oh yeah, just put it in like a high interest savings account or like invest in something so that you're making money while you have it. But then when I realized that I was getting penalized for not paying installments, I was like, oh, this is kind of like biting me in the ass.
We had on our podcast, we had a money person come in, and honestly, I want like more money people on the podcast because I'm so interested, and I'm also so upset at like the Canadian school system that it's just this confusing. Everyone gives you different advice on saving, budgeting, how to invest, what to invest in. You listen to a podcast, someone's like, oh, invest in this. And then someone says, don't touch your RSPs, don't touch your TFSAs, do this. Then someone's like, max them out. You're like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't actually know.
Yeah. Do you use your RSPs?
I do. But again, didn't really know, fucked up. I put all my money in my RSPs because I was going to do this for like first time home buyer. They get this money back. But then when we actually bought our first place, it was now with my mom and my sister. So, but we couldn't use first time home buyer because my mom was in the mix because she already had a home. So then I just like, but all my money that I needed, I had to pull out of there because I didn't have it. Now I was just stuck there and no one told me that I'm going to be taxed up the ass. And then I just had to bite the bullet and be taxed so I could still get the money that I needed, or at least a portion of it. And I was like, oh, and then now I hate my RSPs, but I just do like the minimum, like a small amount every month just to be like, I will touch this at 65, but I'm not relying on this to retire. I'm going to work on other investments on the side. This will just be a bonus when I turn 65.
I had put a huge chunk of money in RSPs because I did pull mine out for when I bought my first place. So that was beneficial, but you have to pay it back within a certain time frame. And so it's like each year, it's like you owe this much back into your RSPs. At the end of the day, it's like it's nice knowing that I do have that put aside. But like I don't even know how beneficial it is for us. I know like if you're with certain companies, they'll like match it, and I think that makes sense. Like I guess like it saves you when it comes down to tax time because you can like put that away and it takes away from what your income would be. That's probably like the most beneficial thing.
The only thing that always like, I don't know, maybe because we're just a country that's taxed and stuff, but I'm like, so then you're 65 and then you're still taxed on taking it out. It's like, what? Like, stop taking the money.
It's
like,
so crazy.
I hate taxes. I know why they like exist in different things and stuff, like, you know, streetlights and medical stuff. But then you're just like, ugh. It's defeating. And the more money you make, like sometimes like I've actually done the math before because I was like, if I want to make, let's say $200,000 a year, I don't know what that is. That's $20,000 a month, maybe clean without taxes. It basically like, it's almost like if you work harder for $400K a year, now I'm going to butcher this, but basically like the math that I did is if you want to make $20,000 clean every month after taxes, it's like making $400,000 or something in the end, because if you make $400,000, you're taxed like 48% of your money. So you end up like walking away with like 200,000-ish. So you're like almost better off making like 250,000 a year and getting closer to that like amount versus working harder and I don't know. I'm not making any sense right now.
I know what you mean.
But it just works almost like, what's the point of working harder for $400,000 a year if like it's going to be marginally less and will be taxed less at 250 and have like probably the same life at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's like the more you make, the more you pay. So it's like, where's the sweet spot where you're keeping as much money but making however much you
now make. If you make that much money, like $400,000-$500,000 a year plus, you're just assuming you're smarter with it at that point, that you are writing things off, that you can take, you know, you're incorporated. Like that's what I'm trying to do now, is incorporate.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you that.
Yeah.
Are you just like a sole proprietor?
Yeah,
I am too.
But I feel like I should have like a business account and then be like, and pay yourself through that. Yeah. Look at us. We don't know anything.
We literally have no idea what we're saying. I almost incorporated 1 year because it is definitely beneficial at like a certain point. I think I would incorporate if I started making a certain amount more. I just had to take a break to get water because my throat was...
I'm also a really bad host. I didn't even offer you water.
That's fine. You offered me coffee. What were we talking about?
I don't know. Money. I feel like
being incorporated.
I feel like I'm not equipped to give anyone an advice. And then I feel like people on the internet will be like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Like whatever you're doing is fucked.
What we're saying is probably not helpful. It's probably relatable to people, but we're not advising you to do what we do because we have no idea what we're talking about.
If anyone is listening and does have like advice, let me know. Let us know.
direct us to someone who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Who did you have on your podcast that was the finance
We had
person?
a financial coach that I was actually going to work with, but she charged like $3,000. And honestly, I get it. Like, I probably would do something like that just to like help educate me. But at the time, and even now, I'm not prepared to spend $3,000 on this. But she's basically a money coach, and she helps people like with their investments and this and that. It really like goes through the nitty gritty with you. And I'm like, honestly, like I do need something like that at some point. And she knew my like situation and like having mortgages and all this. So I think like everyone's situation is unique, but you do need someone that you trust that can kind of like guide you through like how to do it and how to invest.
I think that's something that like you would get return on your investment if you had someone advise you on that. Like I've thought about that so many times, especially just mainly for investing. Like having a bookkeeper would be nice too, just to keep track of things throughout the year. But it's like when it comes to investing, I have no idea where to put my money. Like crypto was like, oh, like I love the idea of it, but like I don't think, like I don't want to be putting my money into things that I don't understand. Like I need to be able to wrap my head around it or have some like knowledge before I feel good about it. Although I do have some crypto. And honestly, I've made the most interest on my crypto versus any other.
Have you
like
cashed it out? Or any of it?
I've taken it out before, like when I had like $50 in it, like nothing. But I know someone who was actually gifted like one crypto,
One coin,
one
Bitcoin?
one Bitcoin.
Which is like, how much are those worth now? Like
When she got it, it was worth
50, 60?
I want to say, I think it was like 40 USD or something.
40,000 USD. That's a nice gift.
But like she's already taken a bunch out and it's like almost doubled. I don't know. It's like if you put like a big chunk in, obviously you have to be prepared to lose it if things tank.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, that one's like pretty steady.
Crypto is the one thing I don't understand at all. I've tried, I've looked at, it's just, it goes over my head. Honestly, even just regular stocks go over my head. So I'm like, and I've been better at stocks. Like I took a more invested interest and I started like doing more like, what are they even, I don't know what they're called. Index funds, I guess. That's what the financial coach on our podcast, kind of introduced. And she gave us some of the codes for them. Like a Vanguard, a this, a that kind of like, I guess, have a bunch of, well, what I do know about index funds is basically like, it's a bunch of companies under one, like successful companies-ish under one stock, I guess. So if you're investing in the stock, you're investing in a multiple of these companies. So those always historically do okay on average because they're like safer versus
like
just investing in like one company. Yeah. Again, if I worded something wrong, I don't know. But anyways, so
We're just like sitting here giving the worst financial advice.
you know what, sometimes I just feel I'm like, just spend it all, blow it. Like, that's what I really want to say. I'm like, life is so short. Like, but then I don't want to hit like 60 and be like, crap, I'm not working anymore. Like, what's going on? So.
Totally. Yeah. I think there's like, I don't know. So you don't want to be like hoarding all your money and like not living your life. I think you need to spend it because like you could die tomorrow and then you'd be like, oh, why the fuck did I not use my money? But then also, yeah, you need to be prepared for the future. So
one thing I'm good at is enjoying my life.
Yeah.
Like I would say I enjoy my life. So if I was like, if I dropped dead tomorrow, I would go, he lived. He lived. Like truly.
But I think that's good though. Like, I mean, you could also like have all your money in a savings account and then something happens and then you lose it and you're like, again, why didn't I just use it when I had it? Or you could have no money and then someone gives you a Bitcoin the next day.
Yeah, I mean, that's really nice.
But
happens. Lucky life, things happen.
Lucky life.
Because I have these two properties with my mom and my sister, I'm not suggesting that these are going to like be my saving grace, like in the next couple of, like 20, 30 years. But the fact that like, I guess we do have like the condo here, I'm like, that actually, like, I probably could see that being close to paid off, like in my lifetime of holding on to it. Or like actually profiting off of it and selling in like a few years. So I'm kind of like in that path where it's like, if you can get to the place of like getting into real estate investing or something, because that's what I'm the most interested in.
Yeah.
Then I feel like you can slowly like, lift off of a mortgage to get another place or sell that property to buy something like bigger. Like you can slowly start up leveling that way. So that's kind of my thing, is I do want like more properties, but I want like smart investment properties. I'd want like a semi that has like an upstairs and a downstairs. Maybe you can rent out both floors. Or if I buy my own home at some point, I'd be totally content with renting the basement.
Yeah.
I don't need like the whole house to myself. So thinking of ways to like, I don't know, make your money work for you and also like not pay the huge mortgage rate all the time by yourself.
Yeah, I agree. It's like real estate's nice because it is one of those things that your money is invested in something, but you can still like tangibly use it.
And see it, like drive by and
Yeah.
go, okay, that's my money.
And then like it makes more sense in my mind because it's like a physical thing versus just like this elusive money out there doing who knows what.
Yeah.
And then yeah, it's like in most cases it's going to increase in value, and then you can also like rent it out. Then obviously there's like fees and stuff that and interest, like mortgages. That's like a whole nother thing. But like,
Yeah.
have you realized like in the beginning, the amount of money that's actually going to your mortgage is so small. It's like almost all like the interest in the beginning.
Yeah. I think because our mortgages are like, not, like we're going to like our second year with them. I don't even know, but I think we haven't, I don't think we've actually touched, because we got it at the time the mortgage rates were a little bit higher.
Oh, right.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't think we've touched the actual principal. Like, and if we did, it's like a super small percentage. So it's kind of like, that's annoying, but
It's so like I didn't even understand how that worked. Like when I bought my first place, I literally had no idea of anything. I just kind of like jumped into it, which honestly I'm really glad though, because I bought it at such a good time. But when I would look at my mortgage and I'm like, how do I still owe basically the same amount like 5 years later versus when I bought it? And it's because like yeah, like your principal really does not go down in the beginning.
yeah, I've heard that there's like a chart that kind of basically looks like by like year 8 or 9 it starts going down. Like you start paying more into your principal, and then every year you start paying more and more into it, and that's kind of how it like goes down. But
Yeah,
if
that
you
makes
can,
sense.
I mean, not now, the mortgage rates are really high, but like generally speaking, the one thing I learned in school for like a math problem was there was something called like a mortgage like accelerator or something. So if like your mortgage is like $2,000 a month, you can like do it bi-weekly and do like and that changes your like term or something, or changes like how quickly you pay it off. Or you can add like even like an extra like $200 a month, makes a big difference sometimes in like your payments. So if you can like sustain paying more sometimes, in this case I feel like we can't, but like if it was something that was less, I think you could, and it actually like makes like you can go from like 25 years to like, you know, like 15, 18 years sometimes.
Yeah, I had a call with my mortgage broker recently because mine's up for renewal, and she was kind of talking about that, and it's like, I think I can put down like another like $50,000 each year without getting penalized, so you can actually like pay it off like quite a bit sooner if you really wanted to. Which like if I was making more, I probably would, but it's like I'd rather like use that money for other things like right now.
Yeah.
Mortgages stressful. It's just like another
Business.
stressful thing. But then you guys also have your Airbnb. Do you guys you bought that and
We bought that, I think, in 2022. Yeah, 2022, I think.
are you guys profiting from that like with the
We're not like profiting every like, so the backstory with that is that we did that, and then we got a property manager in the area because it was our first time doing Airbnb, so we had no idea. I'm sure we could have figured it out, but this couple, they lived there. They were they were in the area. They already had 2 Airbnbs. And they like, you know, knew snowblower people, gardener people, just like little things that you might need to like call up on. And they had all those like contacts, and we didn't know our neighbors at the time. And anyways, fast forward, they worked with us for a year. So we were making like money, but then they also took like a percentage, which was fine. We were happy to do that for the year. And then eventually they parted ways with us. And then, you know, we went up there more, we knew our neighbors more. So now we are fully running it ourselves. So there's no extra fee there, but the mortgage is just high. So it's hard to like actually profit. I would say the last couple of months we've been like supplementing. Now the blessing is that there's 3 of us, which is nice. So not one person's taking the whole mortgage. So whatever's left in the account every month, like based on the bookings, then we're like, we just pay the difference, which still can be high, but like, you know, now we're heading into like better kind of season. So I feel like it'll be a little bit better. And now I'm
Yeah.
trying to focus on it more, send like influencers up there and kind of market it more.
It's a cute place.
One of the reasons that I kind of want to move back to Toronto too, which is like a maybe different episode or different topic, but is we have that there, and I'm like, I would use that more. I'd go up and shoot more content up there. Like, it's so nice to just be up in nature in like 2 hours. So I can't do that here.
Were you guys affected at all by like the new Airbnb rules that came into play?
That was just BC though, I think.
Oh,
It wasn't, yeah. A few people messaged me around that time like, oh no, so sorry. And I was like, it hasn't happened. I don't think it'll happen. A lot of these areas are also like vacation spots anyways, so I don't know what would happen. Like, our area is residential, like people do live there full time, and have grown up there and all of that, but I don't know. I don't think the average person in like where our cottage is, which is in Huntsville, Ontario, I don't think people are looking to rent necessarily. They're probably looking to buy mostly.
And just for anyone who doesn't know, because I think, is it so now, like so many people had Airbnbs as like they would buy a property and just use it as an Airbnb, but now it has to be your principal residence, so you can like rent or you can Airbnb your like a room or like a basement suite, I think.
In Vancouver or
Yeah,
BC,
but it's like
it.
you can't just like buy an apartment and use it for Airbnb anymore.
No, but I think Vancouver and the cities have always been, even Toronto, like I don't think it's like it's not a permanent rule, but they do the same thing where it has to be 30 days minimum, or it has to be or some buildings won't allow it. And I remember thinking like, oh, that's kind of annoying. Like, it's your it's your investment. You should use it how you want to. But honestly, when it comes to the busy cities and stuff, I think as like an owner, I don't think I'd want my next door neighbor having a revolving door of people coming in all the time.
No, that's true.
Also, the sound levels in your building and have like different sound levels coming in all the time, I think isn't great. And because Vancouver's so popular to rent in, that it's actually like there needs to be availability, because there's
like
nothing.
People are like struggling to find apartments
that are reasonably affordable.
Yeah, like it does make sense. It just sucks for the people that have made like full on Airbnb businesses out of having like multiple properties, but
I think it makes sense for the concentrated areas and like maybe some surrounding spots. But I think if you're like a couple hours away from a city center and it's like a vacation spot, I feel like it's a little more fair game because people are looking to go up there just for 2-3 days. I don't think like our personal cottage where people would like, I need to rent it, I want to come live there. Like, I don't think we're taking up space in the rental market necessary. I think people want to just either buy it outright and live there or just rent it out.
No, I think that makes sense. I know there was like at one point I was like, ooh, I want to get into like Airbnb, but there's just like things to think about. And then you guys had your studio too at that one point.
I've had a lot of like little businesses.
And then like Steven rents out his car. Like, what else do you do? What are your like streams of income?
Rent out the apartment. Actually, someone's coming next week, or sorry, this week, I think. The car I don't really do anymore. I was on Turo. I did that like kind of in the beginning because I wanted a car and I just thought it was the easiest way to get a car / rent it out and not pay for the car. And I did that for the beginning and it was like nice. It would pay for the car, like supplement a part of it. And then I traveled and I got busy, and then you can't give people your car to do that. Like, I would always have to then like tell a friend, can you go to my building, go to the basement, get the car? Like, it's just too much for like someone to do. So I kind of stopped doing it, and they actually unlisted me from the app because they're like, you haven't been active in like 80 days or something. I was like, yeah, never mind. My apartment is the easiest one to rent out, but it's not like consistent. Like, I couldn't rely on it for like income. Unless my space was like really cool, like a unique, like really, I mean, my place does have big windows, but if it was like a loft or like something like cooler with a little more like industrial space, I think people would book it more. But it's very much an apartment that people are coming to take photos in. So
what do people mostly rent it out for like photo shoots or
like headshots, like videos? I've had people come for like social media content, like it was a company, like a hair product company that just used my bathroom for like a few hours. That paid well because we were for like 5 or 6 hours. So like that's okay. But like the guy that's coming next week, it's like $125. Like, it's not like a ton, but I always look at it like, I always look at those as like chopping off rent. So if I pay like $2,000, I'm like, okay, minus $125 this month. And then I feel like I'm living in Vancouver for like $1,900 a month, you know?
It's also like if you're going to be out and about and your place is just sitting here, it's like nice that you're getting paid for it.
Yeah. And I work from home, but I don't have like a job that I need to be like demanding for. So it's like, yeah, I could take an hour break, go walk around, do something.
Yeah.
Go run an errand.
Just all these like little ways to make money. I feel like I am not capitalizing on that. Like, I want to have like other like little side things.
I feel like, yeah, none of these things are super like profitable. I
But it's
don't
like it
know.
adds up because you also had like your little aren't those from your business that you
Oh,
had?
my home
We're in
decor line.
Steven's apartment, by the way.
My home decor line. I
Yeah.
forget that I did these things too. I'm like, when did I do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are. And those are up there too, the little white ones. Yeah, that I was kind of annoyed with because I feel like it was out of my control how it stopped because like the company kind of just like stopped producing things.
Mm.
Or the girl I was in contact with like stopped working there, but they never told me she stopped. So I just kind of like lost contact.
So Steven had a yeah, like home
Yeah.
decor. How
It
do
was
you
a 3D printed home decor, like little collection. So it had like little like pieces that varied in size, but that were just like, shelf, like things for your shelf, office, like whatever.
yeah, like art pieces
Yeah.
essentially. But so that was like almost like a like drop shipping because you didn't have any part of like the shipping or anything, right?
No, I would like make the design, have them just like set up, and like they would like have all of the dimensions and all of that, and then people would order, and then would just get sent to them, and they would print it and then send it, which was a great business model in a lot of ways and
Because you didn't have
easy.
to pay anything up front, right?
No,
Yeah, that's nice.
yeah, it was okay, but it was also like just different things. You don't get the custom things. Like the box was just a regular box. It didn't have my name on it. Didn't have a label on it. Like, it was still very in the early stages, but. One thing I know is I am very entrepreneurial, and even if though these things don't like go huge or like make me a ton of money, I feel like I learn all the time from them, and I always like fully know that I just won't work for someone, and I just know that, and I don't know what all of my pieces will be like, if it'll just be content creation, if it'll be like this or that or whatever, or a bigger business or a brand, but I just know that it has to be for myself.
Yeah.
Like there's no other way.
Yeah, and there's also like so many things you can do. It's like you have an audience that you can direct towards like other businesses that you have. I don't know, there's so many different things. Like what do you have any other like ideas in mind of like businesses or like where do you want to take your career?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Right now, I'm very happy being like in the creation space and not really having an extra brand right now. I do like the idea of home decor. I do like the idea of like, plates or cups or mugs, things like that. Now my computer's going off. I do like the idea of the kind of like a drop shipping site, like maybe just has not even my own brand of home decor, but like just different things that I've curated that I like, and people buy from like these retailers, and then you kind of profit off of that.
Like having like a marketplace.
Yeah, and then eventually, as like my brand or like my image gets larger, I feel like I would love to have a book, like a coffee table book, or something like of design or travel or something that's like still like a piece of your business that way.
I've actually seen quite a few influencers do books.
It's
And I always
interesting.
wonder like do they write them though or is someone else writing it for
I
them?
don't know if I'd want like a book. I think I'd want more of like a lifestyle, like coffee table
Oh,
book
I see.
vibe. So
Not like
either
about you.
no, I don't think I'd write a book that way.
Another thing we always talk about though is like reality TV. Like maybe that's in the future.
I'm ready.
I don't know like how much we can say, but like I mean, they've recorded it
Oh
now.
yeah, we're good.
So Steven and I were both approached by this casting company. I guess did they DM us on Instagram? I think that's how
Yeah.
it happened. So we went through the entire like application process, interview process. I think there was like did we go through like four interviews or something? We basically made it to the very end and then we didn't make it through. But like now that I think back, I'm so glad that we didn't get on because like it was not a show like that's not our vibe. The show that
I think we were both on the fence, like thinking like we would do it if the opportunity came up. Because I was in Europe and I was like, well, I have to fly back. Like I'm about to go on this like crazy adventure. Like holy crap! Like what am I gonna do? And then I think when I didn't get, I wasn't like defeated. I was like, okay, yeah, this is okay.
but it was interesting just to have the experience of going through the full casting process.
Well, it gave me an insight of like what they do and how to like interview you, and sort of like I was even in the interviews, I was like, I know what they're trying to do. Like they're trying to collect a story, they're trying to collect a tidbit, like a little piece, like a little breadcrumb of something, because they want that character development. Because he's like, so when you were like da 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 as a young kid, how did that like coming out even happen for you? And then it's like, oh, you're trying to piece a story to see if I like, can weave into this like dynamic of the show, or if I can really overcome something in the show, and that you could play that up. So you see now that if another reality show is to approach us or like to apply or whatever, you're prepared for like the interview and go, okay, like I know what you guys are trying to like do.
Yeah. And then we applied for another one recently too and just like fully didn't get
We didn't hear
through.
back. But my tarot cards suggest otherwise. So part of me is like, you never know.
They're always like, so many eyes on you, like fame is coming, blah, blah, blah.
We'll have to find out.
I claim.
I feel like
claim.
it'll just happen out of like nowhere. Like, oh my God, yay.
I always just feel like it's like when you least expect it, things happen. It's like the more you try to force it, it doesn't happen as quickly.
No. But I do feel like more and more, I feel more and more aligned and more, like, not even a reality show, but just like more and more like my time is coming. Like, I feel like there's no other possible outcome for me to like not want to do the things that I want to do. Like, you know, like it just doesn't make sense. Like I'm almost on the like the far side of the Delulu where I'm like, oh, it's so gonna happen. Like there's no other outcome. And if there's a different outcome, it's just going to be a different version of something else I didn't think about. But it won't be like accountant. Like that's not the pivot my life is going to take. Like I just know that that's not it.
No. Although we do appreciate accountants.
I really, if you were an accountant, I need one. I'd love to marry an accountant.
Yeah, really.
Maybe I wouldn't. I don't know.
I mean, that'd be so helpful for us. I do like the person that I use now. It's just like this like random like website. Like I don't meet with them in person or anything, but do you meet with yours in person?
It's just like on a phone call or like Zoom.
Yeah. It was like everyone has like their own skill set that benefits the world, and that's not mine.
If you had a dream partner, what job do you think you'd want them to have?
I feel like I've thought about this so many times, and like, okay, well, my opinion on this has changed so much. I used to avoid athletes like the plague.
Yeah.
Like, no, like players, not into it. But now I want to be a WAG. Like 100%. Like I follow a couple girls on social media and they just travel with their boyfriends. They make content and it's like a symbiotic, is that the right word? A symbiotic relationship. It's like it benefits both of them. And they just like make content on the road and like support their partner. And I'm like, it's so cute. It's obviously you're seeing like a glamorized version.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And also like there definitely are players that are athletes, but then I think there's like loyal ones too. I don't know.
Oh, I think that for sure. I mean, I think it's always easy to go, they're all assholes, they're all pigs, but I feel like that's not true. Like I know a girl, again, I don't know her relationship that well, but she married a hockey player from like our hometown. And he seems like literally nice, like super vanilla. Like he's not like a star player by any sense of the word, I don't think, but they seem like in love and like super happy, and like he doesn't seem that he has that vibe. So I was like, that's good, you know. I think for me, I would say like my first answer is like I would date, like I would love if someone was like an interior designer. Like I love that as a career, and it's not one that I've ever explored for myself. I just like interior design, but if my husband did it, I'd be like, oh, this is fun. I'll get my fix. Maybe we're like our businesses align, but we just like I help out, but he like it's his job kind of thing. Like I don't know. Or just understand the business, because I would love to like renovate homes and flip homes at some point. So if someone has that like architect, interior designer vibe, skill set, that would be helpful. I'm not opposed to like a real estate agent or anything either. And then honestly, I would date another creator. That's like, people don't like that answer. Not like don't like that answer. Like our friends are like, I would never. But I kind of like it. I feel like if you fully understand this world, I feel like we would just be helping each other. You'd kind of like want to be doing the thing like with them a lot. And it would be more of like, I don't know, maybe more motivation, like having like someone that like is in the house that's also doing it, getting deals, doing this and talking about building a brand. I would be open to.
I think that maybe it's like a little bit different. I don't know. Like I think like for me,
I know for like a straight
guy,
yeah.
like not bashing straight male influencers. I think it depends like what kind of content they make, and like I don't know, I just find that actually I don't want to say this. I don't want to like be like hating on anyone, but I just think I would probably prefer not to have like an influencer boyfriend, but like
I feel like it doesn't come across as, and I mean this, like I know we have friends and stuff, but like I think it's a lot of women that I talk to, they want like people that, you talked about this on your TikTok, but like I think when people say masculine men, they don't mean like masculine macho, they mean like masculine in energy and like, you know, qualities. And I don't know if an influencer guy in the straight world is like a masculine energy. It's kind of like self-involved in a way, and I'm saying it as someone that does it, like we do it, like it's about you and your business. But it doesn't bother me with another guy because I think two gay guys, it just like, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But I see for women that they might be like, oh, okay.
Although Thorne Bradley,
Who's that?
like the axe, like
Oh,
cuts wood.
But then I'm like, is he really like is he doing brand deals?
Okay, so I started following him on TikTok because he's like hot. I'm sure
He's
many of you have seen him. He's
sexy.
just like so hot, just like chopping wood. I'm like, that's like a manly thing to do. So
Yeah.
it's like you're making content, but it's like, that's hot.
Yeah.
And then I ended up following him on Instagram. He followed me back, so it like makes me love him even more. But he follows like 4,000 people, doesn't interact with my content, so I'm not taking it personally.
Yeah.
But now that I follow him on there and I watch like his stories and stuff, I think he's a personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
I think he does something in like the fitness realm, like online coaching.
I guess you have to like discern like if someone is like an influencer and then there's like a secondary job component to it, then it kind of like makes sense. Like if like I don't know, maybe you date a realtor and it's a part of his like job is that, or like you date like I don't know, a fitness trainer, but it has this in it because I think we know the business and we know that there is a lot of money in it too, and it can be quite like lucrative for people, but it's also it also reads, I think, to some people like if there's not a lot of money. Like I wonder, like for me, if people date me on dating apps and they know that's what I do, I actually dance around it all the time. When someone's like, what do you do? I say work in marketing. Like I don't even say that I'm a creator because it sounds weird to type it out. Like, and they're like,
hey,
I want to creep you. I want to
influencer.
see. And they're like, no, I don't want you to creep. And like, yeah.
Well, I feel like influencer has a negative connotation as well. Like I never say that, that I'm an influencer. If anything, I say like content creation. I usually say I work in the social media space.
Yeah, that's good too.
But then they're like, what do you mean? Like when you're going through like customs,
Even
like what are you talking about?
Well, even today I was talking to a guy on Hinge and he was like, he works like, I forgot what he does, but he was like, he's like, what do you do or something? And I was like, oh, I'm in like marketing. He's like, what does marketing mean exactly? And I was like, usually guys don't like call me out on it. So I was like, oh yeah, I guess that was vague. Like I work in marketing and I basically say whatever I used to do on the side because sometimes I'll still consult or like help like companies do social media, like rarely now, but so I'm like, oh, I do social media like marketing for like, you know, real estate or like interior design businesses, which is like not entirely true because I don't really do that. But I don't know. I don't want to say like, oh, I do my own social media on the side for me because then they want to creep, and then most guys want to be like, oh, what's your Insta? And it's weirdly enough, you think like on the creator side that you would want people to follow you. I don't like when random guys ask for my Instagram because they check, they scope everything out, and then they follow you and they want you to follow them back. And then I'm like, we haven't met, we haven't talked. And then you just have this sea of gay men that you follow that you don't know and have never pulled the trigger on actually like dating you.
Yeah.
So I always want to be like, let's meet in person. If it feels right, we can like talk. Apps like Raya or something like that, it's already attached. So it kind of like makes it easier. Like, oh, you already know.
But Instagram is like fully a dating app as well. Like people use it and it's like an online like resume. Like people are like, oh, who are you talking about? You always pull up their Instagram.
Yeah, but all the guys I find, even on Raya and other apps, they like, even if they have it in their bio, I'll check. They're private. I'm like, then don't put it in there. Like, there's no point of your little circle is like all I have to create. Like, then don't put your handle in there. Like,
you know what is good though? Before, I don't think you could zoom into the profiles. I would screenshot the profile and then zoom in, but now you can click it and it like brings it up,
which is like so nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So at least you can kind of get an idea, but a lot of people don't even have their face in their profile picture.
Well, I moved my Hinge. I don't know if I told you this, but I moved everything to Toronto fully. I'm not.
Steven's checked out of Vancouver.
Checked the fuck out. I think I can swear on your podcast.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. I'm done. I'm actually done. It's not, honestly, I've been here for 5 years. It's like, you know that saying that like when you do the same thing over and over again, it's the definition of insanity. Mm-hmm. I've reached it.
Or like doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
Go. It's just, it's not adding up.
Yeah.
It's not working.
Also, we always look at our like astrocartography and what's Vancouver for you, or like Toronto, Vancouver, what's better?
Vancouver is really good because it says Vancouver's a really great place. It basically says you make your passion your job, and
which is what you did,
or your creativity is your job. And I was like, that's really weird. Like I did do that,
but it's like you did that, and now you need to expand it somewhere else.
Well, now it's I think graduate, move on to the next thing.
Yeah, Vancouver is like horrible for me. I don't know why. Like I stay here.
You're from here.
Literally, it's always like saying there's gonna be like turmoil, and I'm like at odds, and nothing's like adding up, and it's like frustration. I'm like, that's how I feel. But anyways, I feel like this is getting kind of long, so we can wrap it up. Any tips for someone wanting to get into the influencer space?
I would say, well, I think if you're going to start from like zero, like just start on TikTok at this point is probably the easiest place to start. And I'm still dealing with this and figuring this out, but it's honestly just figure out the things that you'd like to talk about. If it's your POV, if it's your, you have an apartment, or it's your clothes, or this or that. I think as long as you add your own spin to everything, you can follow the trends, you can do all like the viral little things, but I think as long as you add your spin to it, and also if you're seeking out your own original content too, I think it's easy to just copy things as well. And that's just kind of like the industry now, I think, especially with TikTok. But I think if you find what you like to do and find a funny way to do it yourself, I think that's really good. And just start. Everything's going to be cringe. Everything's going to be weird. I huffed and puffed with YouTube for like probably like 7 years before I ever did it because of that time. Just thinking, oh, it's so weird. And then even like you who's done it, is like you're gonna go back 10 years and go, yeah, that's cringe, but like who cares? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, they always say it's cringe until you're successful, and then everyone's copying you, which is so true.
It just doesn't matter. It's just like it truly doesn't matter. And honestly, I do hate the word cringe anyways, because I'm like, who gives a fuck? Like,
like what is really cringe? Well, some things are, but
sure, but like if you're putting yourself out there and talking about things, like I think like you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable spot. And also be prepared to be criticized.
100%. It's like you got to start somewhere. Well, I think that is great advice. Where can people find you online?
You can find me at Stephen Covic. That's Stephen, Stephen, and then Covic, Covic. All one word for Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
Just same name all across?
All across.
Easy peasy.
It's not my stage name.
What is your stage name?
It's not my stage name anymore, but when I was a kid, okay, we have to wrap this up. It was Seth Ryder.
Why?
No, this goes deep, but I don't know. My mom, I was in like auditions for like acting or something, like when I was like 10 or 11. Mom was like, would you have a stage name ever? And I just went, Seth Ryder, like came into my head.
That was just it.
That was it. And then, you know how I told you I wanted fragrances when I was a kid? This is how my mind works. I thought I wanted my cologne for men and perfume for women to be called, like, for men it was Ride Her, RYD. And then for women it was Ride, I was 12. And then Ride Her and Ride Him were my two fragrances.
I mean, I see the vision.
It would be a good brand, but if you were like an adult who like was kind of sexy, not a 14-year-old, like 12-year-old that was like, anyways, it's Stephen Covic. It's not Seth Ryder.
Seth Ryder. But maybe in the future when he becomes a full-on celeb, but not today.
Sounds like a porn star.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for watching or listening, I suppose. I'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.